We will understand the full cost pricing theory. Let us begin by understanding the four market structures. That is, how price and output is determined under perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly. Under these theories, the price and output are determined on the basis of profit maximization assumption. It is after the revolution by the marginalists, the profit maximization is explained with the help of marginal analysis. That is, the use of marginal revenue and marginal cost concepts. An alternative approach to profit maximization and marginal principle rule is full cost pricing theory. The full cost pricing theory does not assume that the rational firms seek to maximize profit. Full cost theory has given several names. The full cost pricing theory is also known as average cost pricing theory or cost plus pricing or markup pricing theory. It is also known as average cost pricing theory because in this theory, price of a product is fixed on the basis of average total cost. It is also known as markup pricing or cost plus pricing theory because businessmen, when fixing price, add a markup to their average total cost of production. In 1939, two Oxford economists, Hall and Hitch, published some results of research undertaken at Oxford and aiming at the investigation of the decision process of businessmen in relation to government measures. The study was conducted in Oxford, covered 38 firms, out of which 33 were manufacturing firms, 3 were retail trading firms and 2 were building firms. Out of 33 manufacturing firms, 15 produced consumer goods, 4 intermediate products, 7 capital goods and 7 textiles. The sample was not random but included firms which may well be expected to belong to efficiently managed enterprises.
After studying this module, you shall be able to know the concept of full cost pricing theory, know why full cost theory is preferred over profit maximization theory, know the Hall and Hitch pricing theory, know the Andrews full cost pricing theory, how Hall and Hitch theory is different from Andrews theory of pricing. Hall and Hitch in their study empirically found that firms, instead of equating marginal revenue with marginal cost, many firms engage themselves in full cost pricing. Hall and Hitch in their study empirically found that firms, instead of equating marginal revenue with marginal cost, many firms engage themselves in full cost pricing. To quote them, the way in which businessmen decide what price to charge for their products and what output to produce casts doubt on the general applicability of conventional analysis of price and output policy in terms of marginal cost and marginal revenue, and suggest a mode of entrepreneurial behavior of which current economic doctrine tends to ignore. It is clear from the quotation that firms, while fixing prices, do not maximize profits by equating marginal revenue with marginal cost. According to them, businessmen are not using the right approach of profit maximization for product pricing. They further pointed that in a real world, business firms try to seek a satisfactory profits or normal or conventional rate of profit. Thus, according to them, prices are fixed on the basis of full cost pricing theory. That is, average variable direct cost plus average overhead cost plus a margin for profit. Here, the formula to calculate average cost pricing is given as average cost pricing is equal to AVC plus average overhead cost plus normal profit margin. There were several reasons given by entrepreneurs as why they favor full cost pricing over profit maximization as the basis of fixing prices. The first reason was that the entrepreneurs pointed out that if the price is set above the average cost, then firms are earning supernormal profits. These supernormal profits would attract other firms to enter the market if entry is not restricted. Thus, there is a threat of competing away these profits by the potential competitors. The second reason is that they also expressed the ignorance of marginal revenue and marginal cost concepts because of absence of any data. This is so because firms do not know the taste and preferences of the consumers and so are not aware of their demand functions and marginal cost. The third reason was that the firms believe that full cost price is the right price as it covers normal profit over the cost of production when plant is normally utilized. The last reason pointed by Hall and Hish that prices of manufacturers were sticky, that is, there is no frequent changes in prices despite changes in demand and cost conditions. According to Hall and Hish, average cost pricing is a result of A. Collusion, tacit or open, B. Long run demand and cost considerations, C. Moral convictions of firms, and D. Uncertain effects of change in price. Let us now understand the full cost theory by Hall and Hish. Hall and Hish combined the average cost pricing with the King demand curve analysis. According to them, oligopolistic firms face King demand curve. The most important feature of the oligopolistic firms is price rigidity. Price rigidity implies that firms would not like to change the price of its product. This is so because each oligopolistic firm believes that if it lowers the price below the prevailing level, his competitors will follow him and will lower their prices. But on the other hand, if it raises the price above the market prevailing price, his competitors will not follow him. The king demand curve with a kink at the current price is formed on the assumption that increase in the price by an oligopolistic firm will not be matched by its rivals, but any decrease in the price will be immediately followed by its rival. The portion on the king demand curve above the current price is highly elastic, and the portion on the demand curve below the current price is less elastic.
Hall and Hish fixed the current price on the basis of average cost, and at this price a kink in the demand curve is formed. It is shown in figure. In figure, price is measured on y-axis and quantity is measured on x-axis. Suppose firm want to produce OQ units of output. This OQ unit of output is fixed on the basis of expected sales in the period. After deciding the units of output to be produced, The firm then calculates the average direct cost incurred on acquiring resources and average overhead costs incurred on capital equipments, etc. After calculating average direct cost and average overhead cost, firm adds conventional margin for profit to it. Addition of average direct cost, average overhead cost and conventional margin for profit yields average cost. Suppose average cost is EQ to produce OQ units of output, then firm will set the price OP, which is equal to EQ average cost. The kink in the demand curve DD is formed at this price OP.
Hall and Hesh used the average cost pricing with the king demand curve to provide the explanation for the stability of prices in the short run under oligopoly. Any change in demand shifts the king demand curve, keeping price unchanged. Any increase in demand shifts the king demand curve to right, and any decrease in demand shifts the king demand curve to left without any change in price. But Hall and Hish have given two exceptions where price of the product changes. First, if there is a large decrease in demand and demand remains at a low level for some time, then there is a likelihood that price has to be reduced so as to maintain output. Hall and Hish explained this reduction in price in context of depressed demand. According to them, irrational behavior of any one entrepreneur forces the other entrepreneurs to reduce their prices as well. Second, if the average cost of all firms increased by similar amount due to changes in the factor price, raw materials, technology, etc., then this is likely to lead to a revaluation of the full cost price. So, according to Hall and Hish, there will not be any tendency for the price to either fall or rise more than the factor cost or raw material costs. The important point to be noted here is that if the average cost falls for a large range of output, then according to average cost pricing, there exists a negative relationship between price and output. This implies that smaller level of outputs is associated with high cost per unit, and thus high prices need to be set. On the other hand, large levels of outputs is associated with low cost per unit, and thus low prices need to be set. According to Hall and Hish, oligopolistic firms are producing large level of output and thus charge higher prices for their products. The reason behind this was oligopolistic firms prefer 1. Price stability, 2. They have capacity to produce large level of output, and 3. They are prevented by the kink on the demand curve to raise price. Let us now learn about the full cost pricing theory by Andrew. The full cost pricing theory was also propounded by Professor Andrews. He emphasized on full cost principle of price fixation by businessmen. According to Andrews, the costing margin defined as an addition to the constant average direct cost and will normally tend to cover the cost of the indirect factors of production and provide a normal level of net profit. Andrews used the concept of average direct variable cost rather than king demand curve as used by Hall and Hish. Andrews visualizes the relevant range of output where average direct variable cost remains constant. According to him, the price that is fixed by the business firms are such that it is equal to the estimated average direct cost of production plus a costing margin. That is, price is equal to the full cost per unit of output. Andrews based his empirical investigation assumed that the average variable cost or average direct cost remains constant over a large range of output provided the prices of variable factors remain constant. Thus, the average variable cost is a horizontal straight line over a large range of output if the prices of variable factors remain constant. According to Andrews, the costing margin defined as an addition to the constant average direct cost and will normally tend to cover the cost of the indirect factors of production and provide a normal level of net profit. Once we fix the costing margin, it will remain constant irrespective of the level of output. But the costing margin varies as a result of changes in the price of fixed factors of production and in response to competitive and market forces. Andrews also assumed that given the prices of fixed factors of production, the price of the product will remain same irrespective of the level of output. Once the prices are set as per the full cost rule, the firm can sell whatever amount demanded by the buyers at this full cost price.
The Andrews theory of full cost pricing is shown in figure. In the figure, price and cost is measured on y-axis and output is measured on x-axis. AC is the average direct cost curve faced by the firm, which is soccer shape. The average direct cost curve initially falls, then remains constant for a large range of output and then eventually rises as the level of output increases. Corresponding to this average direct cost, MC is the marginal cost curve. Marginal cost curve initially falls and lies below the average direct cost. Then it coincides with the average direct cost curve and eventually MC lies above average direct cost as the level of output increases. Firms before fixing the prices has to calculate average direct cost, total indirect cost as well as the amount of profit they wish to earn. The sum of total indirect cost and the amount of profits planned will yield a fixed sum of money which remains constant for fixation of price in the short run. According to Andrews, the costing margin is calculated from this fixed sum of money by dividing it with chosen level of output.
The chosen output that is used for the purpose of estimating costing margin can be determined in three ways. First, it may be determined on the basis of expected sales in the future period for which output is being produced. Secondly, it may be determined on the basis of sales of product made in the preceding production period or average sales achieved over a number of previous production periods. Thirdly, it may be determined on the basis of capacity output of the given plant, where capacity output is the maximum output that can be produced with the given plant. If a new firm wished to set the price of its product, then output is determined on the basis of capacity output and expected sales in a future period and not on the basis of sales of product made in the preceding production period. Under these circumstances, where a new firm wishes to set the price, then only second and third method is used to determine the chosen output for the costing margin. The first method is completely ruled out.
In the figure, let us assume that firms have chosen OM level of output for estimating costing margin and for fixing the price of the product. We have read that the fixed sum of money is the sum of total overhead indirect costs and the normal level of profits.
Now, at OM level of profit, if fixed sum of money is divided by the chosen level of output OM, it yields SR amount of costing margin to be added to the average direct cost for determining the price of the product. At OM level of output, the average direct cost is SM. If we add the price of the product is fixed at OP, which is equal to full cost RM. The price of the product is fixed at OP, which is equal to full cost RM. The price of the product OP, which is determined on the basis of full cost RM, will remain unchanged irrespective of the amount demanded and the actual output produced in the given period. DD is the negatively sloped demand curve faced by the firm. At price OP, OQ units of output will be produced and demanded by the buyers. Now, with an increase or decrease in demand for the product, the price would remain unchanged at OP provided that the amount demanded lies within the range where average direct cost remains constant, that is, within the horizontal straight line portion. It is also provided that costing margin remains unaltered. Thus, according to Andrews' full cost pricing theory, price of the product will change as a result of changes in direct and indirect costs of production and not as a result of changes in demand.
Let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. We have seen that the full cost pricing theory does not assume that the rational firms seek to maximize profit. Full cost theory has given several names. The full cost pricing theory is also known as average cost pricing theory or cost plus pricing or markup pricing theory. This is also known as average cost pricing theory because in this theory, price of a product is fixed on the basis of average total cost. It is also known as markup pricing or cost plus pricing theory because businessmen, when fixing price, add a markup to their average total cost of production. Hall and Hitch use the average cost pricing with the King demand curve to provide an explanation for the stability of prices in the short run under oligopoly. Any change in demand shifts the demand curve, keeping price unchanged. Any increase in the demand shifts the King demand curve right, and any decrease in demand shifts the King demand curve to left without any change in price. According to Hall and Hitch, average cost pricing is the result of A. Collusion, tacit or open, B. long run demand and cost considerations, C. moral convictions of firms, and D. uncertain effects of change in price. According to Andrews' full cost pricing theory, price of the product will change as a result of changes in direct and indirect costs of production and not as a result of changes in demand. Andrews visualizes the relevant range of output where average direct variable cost remains constant. According to him, the price that is fixed by the business firms are such that it is equal to the estimated average direct cost of production plus a costing margin. That is, price is equal to full cost per unit of output. Andrews based his empirical investigations assumed that average variable cost or average direct cost remains constant over a large range of output provided the prices of variable factors remain constant. Thus, the average variable cost is a horizontal straight line over a large range of output if the prices of variable factors remain constant. Andrews' analysis is similar to that of Hall and Hitch, but there are some differences between the two. According to Andrews, the costing margin defined as an addition to the constant average direct cost and will normally tend to cover the cost of indirect factors of production and provide a normal level of net profit. According to Hall and Hitch, addition of costing margin to the average variable cost for fixation of price goes against the price fixation on the basis of profit maximization principle of traditional theory. The concept of costing margin of Andrews is similar to that of markup of Hall and Hitch, but there is a difference in that. Hall and Hitch visualizes a constant markup or margin for overhead cost and normal profit, whereas Andrews discusses at length the circumstances in which there might be some flexibility in the costing margin in response to competitive and market forces. The another difference between Andrews and Hall and Hitch's versions is that the latter use the King demand curve along with full cost pricing, whereas the former use the soccer shaped average cost curve where average direct cost remains constant over a large range of output.